So I thought I'd talk a little bit about how I herniated my disc, and like I said, this has actually been going on for a very long time. So what happened originally is back in about 1996, and granted it's 2010 right now, I was snowboarding, and at the time I was actually teaching snowboarding and skiing. I was just out on my own though, just playing around, and was going down the hill and somebody came across in front of me and I didn't want to hit them, so I really just braked and sat down real quick, and the way I sat down I straightened my back and landed in a way that I kind of twisted, and I felt like a pop, or I don't know, it's not really a pop. I really can't describe what I felt other than pain, and the next morning when I woke up I couldn't stand hardly at all because I was just having just the worst muscle spasms you can possibly imagine. About 2005 I was doing x-ray at the time, and I went to move a patient over to a table and I slid them over on the backboard, and I again just had that tinge of pain and muscle spasms, and it kind of reminded me of what happened back in 1996. It felt like I had just done the exact same thing. See, 2006 I was getting ready to get married, and I was in the shower and I sneezed, and that time that's all it took, is I literally sneezed and I was stuck. I was having back spasms and pain shooting down my leg, and it was not fun. Had to wait till someone got home to help me get out of the shower because I was just physically incapable of doing it. I was stuck. What a nightmare. In 2009, I was actually working doing ultrasounds at that time. I'd been doing ultrasounds for about 3 years at that point, and I was on call like I often am when I'm doing my job, and I had a patient who couldn't get up off the toilet, and I went in the bathroom to help her, and she was probably only about 100 pounds, but what I did is I basically just got in real close to her and I kind of gave her a big bear hug, and I kind of helped her, and the bed was right next to us, so I just basically was trying to act as support. I was trying to make myself as stable as possible, but when I twisted, I knew that I had done it again, because it was just this sudden tinge and pain and down my leg, and it hurt. So the worst part is when I hurt myself in 2009, I was sitting there, I was laying in bed, and my daughter was crying, and she wanted me to hold her, and I was crying because I was frustrated. I couldn't get up. And I had my cell phone nearby. I was able to get to my cell phone, and I had to call my husband, and he had to come get me, and I called work, and I couldn't come in, and called workman's comp, and ended up at a doctor who decided that I had acute facet syndrome, which, I knew better, but I don't know what to say. I was frustrated because I've been doing this to myself over and over again. So you'd really have to understand the situation I was working in, where I was working, to really understand that I was on my own when this happened. It really isn't completely workman's comp because, like I said, I've been injuring this over and over again over the course of about 15 years. But in this particular instance, I was by myself. It was the middle of the night. I was on call. The department I worked in was kind of removed from the rest of, basically if I screamed, I don't think anybody would hear me, and that's really true. I think the only way I would have been able to get help would have pretty much been to call for somebody, and it probably would have taken them a few minutes for them to get over there to help me to get the woman back to the bed. And me being, I guess, naive, I just decided, well, I don't want to wait with her sitting there for a few minutes. I'd rather just help her on my own, and I just didn't. It's the humanity in me. I don't want to leave somebody sitting there like that and have them sitting there waiting for somebody to come over from another department to help me out. So I basically I made a mistake, and seriously, I think I would sooner call a code than help even a 100-pound lady move herself back to a position, because I completely and totally regret that. The biggest thing that happened that actually exacerbated this, though, is that I got pregnant 4 months after I did that. So here I was in a situation where my back was already weak, and then I got pregnant, and then I gained all this weight up front, and about mid-pregnancy, around September of last year, I was at my OB's office, and I said, I've been having back pain for quite a while, and it's getting worse, and it's September, and I have to make it to February. And the doctor basically gives me a whole bunch of exercises, and I've been to physical therapy, I've been to the chiropractor, I've even worked in a physical therapy office at one time, so I know the drills. And so went home, I did my best to do those exercises, and by February when I had my baby, I was still hurting, but I thought maybe just, give it some time. So I gave it time, and in the meantime I did things like acupuncture to kind of try and help relieve some of the pain. And I was doing some exercises, I was going to the gym, I was swimming, I was biking, I was doing pretty much whatever I could, and just really try to work with the pain and work through it. So despite all this, the first time I actually did have an MRI was 2 weeks ago, and I can't say I was surprised I've had a herniated disc. I was always pretty certain that's what it was based on all the symptoms I was having. And although I did have one doctor say, no, it's not the same thing over and over again. Yeah, it has been the same thing over and over again.
And here's my disc. You can see it's popping out to the central canal, a little more to the right, and it actually does impinge a little bit on the cauda equina, which is actually why I was starting to have foot drop.